yeah, if you take 25 leads, make 20 contacts per week, whether they say no or yes, then several agents writing over $200,000 of annual premium,
awesome.
Netting over $100,000 a year.
Which is amazing. And you do the math. Like, I like that you're talking about that topic, because you do the math on, let's just say you're on a higher contract level and you do the math. What are you actually netting?
Right.
And there's a lot that their 1099 may show 150, 200, but they're not netting 100 plus,
No.
I think what you net, it's easy in business. I don't know what it is, man, but in business, it's easy to say, you know what, dude, I did $4 million. It's like, okay, what did you net?
Right.
Actually, I didn't make any money.
So, we were talking about EBITDA earlier, right? Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. Those are the real numbers of what a company's making. If we all took our 1099s and put them together, it's going to be millions, but what are you netting, right?
Hey, welcome back to the CA Power Players Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Askins, live in studio from Springfield, Missouri, with an in-person guest today that has been on the channel before. A phenomenal dude, runs Allegiant Wealth Group and Core Senior Benefits, and he's got some phenomenal lead and training, even free leads, which is nuts, by the way, training, salaries, benefits, all kind of crazy stuff. We're going to talk about today with my good buddy, Wayne Daniel.
Thanks for having me, Cody.
Dude, welcome back, man. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
I love having you in town, man. We do a lot of, we're going to go eat, I think we're going to eat sushi later.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm
Which
excited.
is awesome. I'm excited about that as well. You're doing a webinar and a little bit later. You're speaking on our Six Figure Society Zoom. We're doing an interview and a podcast. What I like about you is you understand an agent, whether they're doing $10 million a year or whether they're doing zero.
Mm-hmm.
You've got the brokerage model. You've got the career model. The video we did before was how an independent agent can sell a bunch of life insurance without having to pay for leads.
Right.
With no
investment
at all, which is foreign to a lot of people. So for those that maybe didn't see the first interview, we're going to talk about other stuff maybe outside of what we did the first interview. However, if they didn't see the first interview and like, man, I like this Wayne cat and where he's headed so far, give them an update on what you do, the companies, what we're talking about when we tease some of those items.
Sure. Yeah. So like you said, from 0 to 10 million, I've been both places, right? So over the last 21 years, we had agents, we started with Daniel and Associates, and there were no associates. It was just myself. And I was selling final expense and Medicare supplement at the time. Medicare Advantage wasn't out yet. And did that for 7 years, Cody, before I ever recruited my first agent. So was able to build up a renewal stream, invest in other businesses. Life was great.
Yes.
I had learned about recruiting. Back then, social media wasn't as big, so people were doing sell packs and doing mailers and stuff like that for agents, right? So we would do mailers to agents just like we would to
And that worked?
final expense clients. Absolutely, it worked.
Cool.
So they would just call in to an 800 number I had set up and started building my brokerage. In 2018, we rebranded to Allegiant Wealth Group, mainly because we kind of got outside of final expense. So we started doing more products with annuities and business owners and things like that. But same principle. Our block of business is still final expense and mortgage protection, and then Medicare. So that's the biggest block of our business. We used to finance leads, right? So as an IMO or an agency owner, my job is to create value for agents. So to do that, it's not just a contract, right? Anybody can give out a contract that's 5% or less than theirs, right? So how was I going to add value? So we do that with training. We do that with systems, CRMs, tracking your numbers, things of that nature. And the most important thing I found out were leads. And a lot of people don't have the capital to buy leads, or they're just afraid to risk it, right? Their nest egg. So started financing leads, and honestly, that didn't work out too well because agents, we were putting money out and they had to pay us back. And I said, why are we doing that? Why don't we just do a little bit lower contract, right?
Yeah.
But still have them be direct to the carrier so they own their book of business and renewals, but it allows us to just give them the leads for free. So that's where we morphed Core Senior Benefits. We decided to create a new entity and a new name for it to kind of keep it separate from the brokerage because we didn't want us to be known as one model only, right? We had started as a brokerage model, added career to it. So that's where Core Senior Benefits came from in 2019. And here we are today. So obviously looking to grow that business, but we're looking to grow in all areas, right? So like you said, whether it's an agency owner with 100 downline agents that we can help with contracts and systems that, they're getting to the point now where they're good at recruiting and building agencies, but they just don't have the systems in place, with a good CRM, tracking numbers, leaderboards, things like that, trips and incentives for agents. We can help with all of that. And then more importantly, the leads, right? They want to have leads where they can buy them per lead. That's the biggest thing, because especially in direct mail, agents that like that, it's a 2, 3, 4 week, 5 week sometimes turnaround from the day they place their order. So if they're ordering, great companies out there that sell leads, right? But in direct mail, they've got to mail it. They got to wait for the client to send it back. Then they got to scan it and send it to you. And that takes weeks. So with us, we keep an inventory so Cody can go in there and buy 10 leads, 20 leads, 30 leads, whatever you want in any county in any state that we have available.
Wow.
So,
and so that's more on the brokerage model?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So, but that's where it more for career, same system, same CRM. They can click on it and get up to 25 leads per week for absolutely free. No money out of pocket. Which is
insane. So most examples, if you're doing free leads, you would think that you own the business,
right? You
own the renewals, you own the client, you even own the agent, right? Which is obviously not good. In your example, they actually still own their business.
Absolutely.
They're paid by the carrier.
Correct.
They're not paid by you, which is an important caveat to mention, by the way. But they still get 25 leads a week.
Yes.
That are really fresh, quality, direct mail leads.
Absolutely.
They're not sitting on a shelf for 12 years.
No.
They're brand new, which is also insane. What does a direct mail lead cost typically per lead if we were to do some math on that?
My cost right now with the vendors that I deal with, $41.53. That's my average per lead.
Jeez Louise, bro.
So, and it depends on the area, right? So
you're investing $1,038.25 per week per agent.
Yes. And I lose money on the brokers. We charge currently $35 per lead for our brokers. Anybody out there that's buying leads knows that there's nowhere you can buy per lead for $35. Postage just went up. We may go to 36, but right now we're holding steady as long as we can.
That's awesome.
Because we feel that we're providing, I don't want them to get too expensive, right? I make an override, obviously, so there's money there to be able to do that. As long as it makes sense, my goal is to have agents succeed, whether they're brokerage or career. We've had people that go from career to brokerage to career. So not that you can do it every week or every month, there's paperwork involved, but you can make those moves. So nobody's stuck. And that's what's key about having both is you can do either or. But most people find out, when they start with the career or if they come over from the brokerage, they like the structure, right? And other people that they're working with, yes, it's their own business, but they're not alone in business, right? They have us, they have the calls that they can be on. And if they're traveling, some of them like to travel together. So there's 3, 4, 5 agents staying in a hotel. True. When they do that, we pay their hotel expenses for them to stay in a hotel up to $100 a night. So, their E&O insurance, just all the expenses that an agent has to get started, we pay for all that. So when people start doing the math on the expenses that they pay and the contracts that we offer, we're usually within 5% of what they would get on a brokerage contract. So they start doing the math, $3,000-$4,000 a week producer, it's a couple $100 difference between brokerage and career. So a lot of people say, well, it's not worth it because I'm risking all my capital for basically an extra $150, $200 a week. So
true,
but up to them, right? And that's why we have both models. It really doesn't matter to me which one people come under. I just want to make sure that if they go brokerage, that they're set up correctly. They've got their nest egg. They're ready to invest in leads and do it the right way, because I've seen too many agents come in and they want to get a big contract so they can recruit and not sell. And if you don't start with selling, it's hard to recruit. And we know a lot of big organizations that do that. And unfortunately, it just creates that dynamic where there's a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing and nobody's making any money, which gives our industry a bad name and why 90+% people fail out in the first 3 years.
True, exactly. That's exactly right. You had a stat last time of, I forget what it was. It was a high percentage of your career agents to where you pay, the training salary and the benefits and the hotel if needed and, whatever else, leads. $53,989 a year worth of leads, by the way, per person. Do the math. More than the average person makes in the U.S. That Wayne spends that on each person just in leads. What was the percentage again of the amount of career agents that earned six figures?
So it was 44% over six figures, but you used a number 60% success rate in that model, which is huge compared to the industry average that are staying over 12 months and on the program. So if people are getting and they follow the program, that's what we found with career, right? Because we are putting so much money up for the agent. If they can make it the first 3 or 4 weeks, they're probably going to be in good shape, right? Yeah. They understand what is involved, and it is hard work, right? Let's not make it, let's not act like it gets any easier, right? Free leads and all that's great, but if you don't go knock the doors, nothing's going to happen. Correct. Doesn't matter what resources we give you. So yeah, if you take 25 leads, make 20 contacts per week, whether they say no or yes, then several agents writing over $200,000 of annual premium, awesome. Netting over $100,000 a year.
Which is amazing. And you do the math. Like, I like that you're talking about that topic, because you do the math on, let's just say you're on a higher contract level and you do the math. What are you actually netting? Right. And there's a lot that their 1099 may show 150, 200, but they're not netting 100 plus, no. I think what you net, it's easy in business. I don't know what it is, man, but in business, it's easy to say, you know what, dude, I did $4 million, it's like, okay, what did you net? Right. Actually, I didn't make any money. So,
yeah, we were talking about EBITDA earlier, right? Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization. Those are the real numbers of what a company's making. If we all took our 1099s and put them together, it's going to be millions, but what are you netting, right? That's the key, because if you spend it all, then you're not making any money.
Correct.
So everybody wants to use that top number to show your 1099, your 1099. Well, I could show you my 1099, which is going to be higher than any single agent, right? Yep. But it doesn't mean I'm making more money than that agent,
that's
right?
True.
Necessarily, with putting all the resources out there. So that's why it's important that you look at those net numbers, and we'll talk about that later, I think, on one of the trainings. But when you're wanting to build an agency, it's important that you have an accounting system or an accountant to help you, and it doesn't cost that much, but just structure it correctly so your numbers, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's interesting too that if you think through just the amount of agents that probably want free leads, you also don't accept everyone, as you shouldn't. You're going to spend 50 to 100 grand per person for the year. Dude, I'd be picky too, So if you're out there and you're like, man, I like Wayne and what he's doing and he's helping people. Yeah, he is. But he's also not a charity. He's in it to make money, just like you are too. And so he's fair. He's very fair. He's more than fair. He pays for a lot. He does everything he can. But if they think somebody's going to be lazy, or they're going to take advantage of them, or they're not going to work the leads,
right?
Or they're going to, whatever, they're not going to hire.
Had a class last week with 9 new agents in it.
Wow.
We let a guy go in the class. He didn't show up on time. He wasn't listening. He didn't turn his camera on, not doing the things we were asking, in the Zoom. Like you said, we spend a lot of money on our systems and our training. So if you don't want to do it, that's your prerogative. Nothing against the guy, but we're just not going to work together. In that capacity, maybe you need to go on the brokerage side, take your contract, and then it's your money, and you can do whatever you want on that side.
Turn on your camera, don't turn on your camera, waste money, whatever you want.
Yeah, do whatever you want on that side.
I love that piece. There's also a lot that you're doing with outside of just leads, training, orientations, whether it's brokerage or career. I'd love to kind of pivot and talk through some of the things that y'all do from a training perspective. So we do every new agent that comes on, we do 2 days of classroom training, full days. And those are live?
Yeah, so we do some live trainings. If people, this time we did it virtual just because we had people in several states, but we do both. And when we do our virtual, the home office team is together, right? So it's virtual for the agent, but we're all there together to help them. And it's learning about the carriers, learning about our CRM, learning what premium per lead is, what annual premium per lead is stuff. Even if you're an experienced agent, we start from the basics, how to figure out annualized premium to how you're paid. We go through, I think there's some videos on our page of the last training we did last week, but, knowing the close percentages and how to calculate that, setting goals, we go through that, knowing your why are you doing this? We talk about, obviously the carriers and the actual process of writing an application. And then we spend a lot of time role playing, right? So we don't say, Cody, you go do it your way. Wayne, you do it your way. We say, here's how you door knock, and here's what you say, and here's the 5 or 6 common rebuttals, right? Most people say the same thing when you knock the door. I'm not interested. I already took care of that. Somebody else has already been by. I need to ask my kids. My husband's not home. My wife's not home. Whatever it is, they're going to say the same things at the door, and we teach you how to overcome that, right? And what to say. And then when you get in the home, it's a totally different conversation, right? So you've got a door conversation, and then you've got a home conversation, and we've created a 6-page flip chart that first page basically educates the client on why they filled the card out, to try to find out why, right? Asking them questions. The second page is educating them on the difference between term insurance, accidental, and whole life. Dealing with seniors, it leads them to why whole life is good. Yep. And they agree that by the end of that conversation that whole life, it probably makes the most sense for them. Then we go into a graph showing, inflation. So if they're younger in their 50s and 60s, maybe they need a little more coverage to cover that funeral. And then lastly, we talk about the different options. One is to do nothing, which everybody knows is a bad idea. The other is a prepaid funeral plan with the funeral home. And, you have to pay dollar for that. And even if you finance it, if you don't get it all paid for, you owe the difference. And we talk about that. And then the last one is the state regulated plans that we offer. And we talk about, guaranteed benefits and premiums never increasing and all the great things that whole life does for seniors. Yes. And by the end of it, they're agreeing that that's the best product for them. And we go straight into an intake sheet, which is information gathering. So we know what carrier to put them with. That's awesome. Get them approved, show them 3 prices, let them pick one.
I love it. And they
keep it simple. And then people will deviate and make it their own, but it gives every agent a starting point. Right. And I think that's important because when I was trained and I figured it out finally, but, it was more of watch what I do and then do that. Well, when you're on your own, maybe that style wasn't great for me. And so we found something that literally an agent can just read word for word. And we give them a printed copy in a nice bound notebook, or they can use it on their iPad if they want, but that way they can sit there and until they get good at it, just read it line for line while they're sitting with the client, letting them, they're asking the questions, waiting for the client to answer, going back and forth. And then if they want to make it their own, they can, right? But at that point, and then if they're training new agents, they can show them that, and it keeps everything standardized.
I love that you do that. For those listening, I would love to know in comments if you get overwhelmed on what to say, when to say it, what to say when people say stuff. Like this is a full, literal flip chart walking you through from the beginning to the end, which is pretty special. That's smart.
Yeah, it's all assumptive selling, right, and educational, and that's what a lot of what our rebuttals are at the door. When someone has an objection, everything is education based. I'm not a salesman. I'm not door to door. I'm not here to ask you for any money or sell you anything, Cody. All I'm here to do is educate you. And we teach our agents, if you just knock doors and try to flip chart people, forget selling insurance, just try to flip chart everybody, you're going to make sales. Because that part, they're going to see the need and say, well, I have a policy. Am I paying too much for it? Do I have the right kind of insurance? They're going to go get it. If they don't have a policy by the end of it, they realize they need one. So whatever the case may be, you're getting all of that through the flip chart, but the hardest part is the door, and that's why we tell people, don't tell them you're not selling them anything. We don't know if we are, right? Yeah. We've got a flip chart on them. They may have the best policy in the world, and we say, look, you're good to go. Don't fill out any more cards. Have a nice day. Correct. But we're there to educate them. Don't fill out any more cards. Yeah, don't fill out any more cards, but
we have to pay for those anymore.
Exactly. But at the end of the day, make it educational. And if you're educating our seniors, it brings that wall down and it lets them kind of make the decision on what they need.
Yes. What piece of this whole training process and everything you'll do you think agents need the most help with, or have the most questions about, or that really stands out?
I think role playing, right? That's the biggest piece in our training. We spend a little bit of day 1 doing it, but most of day 2. And it's funny just finding out from the very first time, and we hit them with it, right? It's on the agenda, they see, but we hit them with it with, okay, go. I'm the client. And even though they have it in front of them, they're so nervous they can't read the words, a lot of them. And that's okay. And we tell them, it's okay, Cody. It's your first time. But now tonight, read it, study it, and then by the next day, it tells me two things. One, who really wants this? Because if you went home and you can read through it, then you've kind of memorized it, and that's what we're looking for people that are doing that. And not that people that haven't don't make it, but it's just an indicator. But at the end of the day, what I like to do is, the second day is now they've got all the fear. We get to know each other. Everything's better, especially when we're together. If we go out to dinner that night, we kind of create that camaraderie. By the next day, they're more comfortable with us. And at that point, and we hit them hard. By the second day, when they get good at it, we start hitting them with objections like, no, you're not coming in here. Or, I already took care of that, and just see how they react and how they do it. But we train it, like I said, from A to Z on exactly what to say based on what a client's going to say.
It's good. Yeah, it's really, really good that y'all do that. What else from a value standpoint of what y'all do for agents that maybe we haven't talked about before?
Yeah, so I think a lot of, in addition to training, right, there's a lot of people that have great training out there, and a lot of guys on YouTube that do a good job with it as well. But I think having systems in place are very important. And what I mean by systems, a lead flow, a structure. Sunday night you do this, Monday you do that, because, there's some guys that eat Subway every day for lunch. Like you start to see habits of successful people. They do the same thing every day, or at least have that structure, right? You manage off a Google Calendar. I've seen your calendar before. I thought mine was crazy till I saw Cody's calendar. So, I was like, oh, there's blocks all over here, but you don't have any breaks on yours. And, but that's important. You have structure, right?
Yeah.
You know what time you're going to go work out. You know what time you're going to talk to Wayne Daniel. You know what's going to happen. If agents will do that, right? On Sunday night, I get my leads. On Monday, I check my numbers in the leaderboard, and I already have everything organized so I can be at my first house by 10. By Monday night, we use GroupMe to report our numbers. I'm going to see if I've hit my goal for the day, where I'm at for the week, and then the quarter, right? Because we look to increase commissions every quarter based on their performance. So we're very, very goal-driven. I think it's important. I do personal and professional goals every year for myself, for our company. I do budgets for the company. You do it for yourself. Do a budget for yourself. Have goals for yourself on what you want to make on income. And we ask everybody that. How much do you want to make here? And then we back into the number. Here's what you got to do it. Right? It's right here. It's easy. And that's what a lot of people don't do. Here's the contract. Here's a bunch of training. And they don't know, is $30,000 good? Is $300,000 annual premium good? If you're a new agent and nobody ever told you, you don't know. Yeah. There's people on Facebook saying they write 10, 15 grand a week that don't. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of misinformation out there.
Or they did it once.
Maybe that's what it is. They did it once, and they're putting it out there like they can do it every week. But it gives, a new agent, they're like, well, what's wrong? I only wrote $3,000 of annual premium or $4,000. They think they're doing something wrong, and they're like, no, here's the averages. Really, so we love leaderboards and averages because it lets them know where they stand as an average to the company. And they can pull that up at any time and say the average, core agent writes 4,287, and here's where I'm tracking to that. That's it last week,
That's good. The dude knows his numbers too, which is really important.
You got to know. Close ratio, 27%. It about evens out to 20 leads. You're going to sit with 10 of them, sell half of who you sit with. That's what the numbers work out to be. About 25, 26%. Like I said, if we start doing 27, 28 to 30, we're doing something right. You always want to see that number better, but we bring on a lot of new agents that don't do as well, and then we have a lot of rock star agents that are doing 35, 40%. So, but we tell everybody the difference between you and a rock star agent is time and practice.
Yes.
It's the only difference.
Yes. I had an agent message me last week. They're like, hey, I wrote $5,000 my first week. Is that good?
I mean, that's incredible.
Dude, that's freaking awesome, man. Like, goodness gracious. It's almost funny. I almost didn't want I want to encourage him to be positive, but almost like maybe I shouldn't tell him. And maybe he'll think it's
and write more.
And then just write more. You know what I mean? Didn't matter to me. He's not my agent. But it's just funny, like, the thought pattern of what we think is good, what we don't think is good. I mean, the environment I was in as a new agent, I thought $2,000 in a week was like freaking incredible, because most people weren't doing it.
Yeah.
Which is insane. I mean, you are when you're working with Wayne and Core. I mean, like you said, the average last week was 4,287. I think you said.
But the brokers don't, to your point, because if you look at an average weekly, because they don't work every week most of the time, because they have weeks where they don't have leads, there's gaps. There's typically, I say typically because there's some brokers that do very, very well.
Oh, yeah.
And they're usually because they're, very, very structured and very organized. In their methods and what they're doing, very deliberate, where most people aren't, right? They want that. Yeah. They want somebody to kind of tell them what to do. And that's what we're here for. You do it your way, but we're here to give you the structure and kind of tell you how to be successful, because you're right. That's why 2000 is great for someone that's just kind of out there on their own, that doesn't know what they're doing, doesn't have a consistent lead flow. Because that's it, Cody. Get the leads, go to work. Get the leads, go to work.
It holds you accountable, too.
Right.
Investing in leads every week holds you accountable to get up and go to work.
Absolutely.
And y'all do a good job on the brokerage side. If they want to hold themselves accountable, they can do that. And actually, you actually eat some of the costs, which is cool. And then on the core side, you'd eat all the costs.
Right.
And then they can help hold them accountable. And a lot of people need that, by the way. Like, there's a lot of you agents that are listening that you're like, you know what? He's right. I do need someone to hold me accountable and help me. And do you notice that, to where there's like, how do you handle that? Like, there's an ego, prior success selling cars, I'm not coachable, whatever the case is. How do you handle some of that?
Yeah, I usually tell them, we have guys all the time that were successful in other businesses, and I tell them that's fantastic. The difference with insurance is it's an intangible, right? So most everything else that you sell, I'm sure there's something that's not. Sure. But whether we get a lot of guys from the roofing industry selling alarm systems, car sales, solar, all that stuff. All
tangible.
Right, all tangible. You're going to give me money, and I'm going to give you something for it, right? Yeah. But this is different, right? You are maybe giving them a flyer and your information, but you're selling a promise, right? Mm-hmm. And when you sell a promise, you've got to build, we call it building core, on the core side, but it's building rapport, right? And building that with the clients, and we tell them that. So, follow our process, and based on the success that you've had in the past, you should do fantastic here. But if you don't listen and you try to do it your own way, you may be successful, you may not be. But, if I'm paying for your leads, you won't be unsuccessful for very long here, No. And that's what we do. We tell them, look, this may not be a good fit for you. We'll put you on a higher commission on the brokerage side, and here's how much leads cost. You can buy them from me or from anybody else that you want to, and do whatever you want. But I can't continue to give you these resources if you're not willing to put the work in and do what we tell you to do. And what happens is, we're only asking for the bare minimum, right? So people do more. They work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We had guys working yesterday that were putting up numbers still, and so I love to see that. But that's we're going to give you the base structure, and then if you really want to be a rock star and do that, especially your first year when there's no renewals coming in, then work those extra days. Yep. Show us,
and that's Monday
you'll be
through
rewarded.
Thursday. 4 days.
4 days in the field.
Dude, like, where else can you go and go make six figures in 4 days of work?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's what I'm saying. People just don't, like you said, with no money out of pocket, we do all the training, we spend all the money. Managers, people building teams get company credit cards. I mean, it's just because we want to make it easy. We want to take all the obstacles away. So if you'll just go do this and say what we tell you to say, then it's going to work out. But
if they want to learn more, what should they do next?
Yeah, so info at Allegiant Wealth Group or CoreSeniorBenefits.com, based on what you're interested in, but info at CoreSeniorBenefits.com. You can call our office, 470-635-0837. There's several extensions there, but Sarah or Becca can help you out, and I think they're 101 and 102. But yeah, we're here. You can reach out on social media. Core Senior Benefits has a page, Instagram and Facebook. Yep. So does Allegiant Wealth Group. We get a lot of messages there on Facebook Messenger. We're everywhere. So
I love it, man.
The way I look at it, if you want to do it and you have the hustle, then you'll find us.
True. If you want to find somebody, you'll find them.
That's right.
Yes, 100% true. Wayne, thank you for coming back.
You bet.
Thanks
Glad
for all you
here.
do for the industry.
Thank you.
I love spending time with you, man.
Love it. Thanks, Cody.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed the interview. Go check out Wayne Daniel, what they're doing with Core Senior Benefits and Allegiant Wealth Group. Some unique business practices that work really well to help agents. Thanks for listening to Power Players Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, if you enjoyed this, I got another one you're going to love. It's right there. Click on it. See you in there.
Welcome back to the CA Power Players Podcast. We've have the Mr. David Duford back in Springfield Mo in the studio. Dave, welcome back to the
Greetings and salutations.
Dude, I love spending time with you, man.
Well, thank you. I do too.
really do.
It's fun. You're such a great host.